Thanks for the intro. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today. What do you mean there's no onboarding plan for engineering managers? This was the first question I asked when I joined Lemonade. Lemonade is a tech company doing insurance. We're driven by social impact and use AI to replace brokers and bureaucracy with a fast and delightful experience. A little about myself. I'm the director of engineering at Lemonade, currently leading the car insurance product line. This is my team. I have 5-month-old twin girls. So as you can imagine, I haven't slept in 5 months. I am a die-hard Maccabi Tel Aviv football club fan, so much so that I convinced my wife to take our wedding photos at the team stadium. Fun fact, I named my pet dog Ruby. By now, I think it's a better name for a dog than a programming language. I co-founded a community of engineering managers in Israel with over 1,000 members. The community facilitates knowledge sharing through virtual discussions and physical monthly meetups. When I joined, Lemonade was still in its early days. Its engineering leadership was starting to form, and the organization was just before the hyper-growth stage. I was the first manager to join as a new hire from outside. At the time, there was no dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers. As a result, I went through the same onboarding process that all engineers did, a structured plan focused on technical aspects, hands-on work, and the company values. So what were the side effects? I finished my onboarding and felt I didn't know what was expected of me, and I was unprepared to do my day-to-day work. I still had open questions. What are the roles and responsibilities of an engineering manager at Lemonade? What are the top priorities for my team? What would be considered a success? And what are the tools and supporting processes that I have to achieve all that? With all these unknowns and open questions, I was lucky to have an amazing team to have me navigate these first few months. So, today we'll talk about the value of onboarding plans for new hires, the manager's role in the onboarding process, and lastly, we'll discuss the importance of onboarding plans for engineering managers and my personal experience building one. Let's start with the value of effective onboarding plans for any new hire, not just managers. By a show of hands, how many of you have an onboarding plan for engineers in your organization? I see that most of you have one, and that's not a surprise. It's become the golden standard in most engineering organizations, and with good reason. An effective onboarding plan prepares the employees for their new role, connects them to the organization culture and values, and clarifies the expectations from them. And this is something that employers definitely agree with. 93% of employers think a good onboarding experience is critical for the new hires' decision to stay with the organization. But even though companies see it as important, data shows that most organizations are not doing it right. Only 12% of employees feel strongly agree that the organization is doing a great job onboarding new hires. 9% have left the company because of a poor onboarding experience. That's almost 1 out of 10. Just think about all the time and resources you've invested in recruiting them. And only 29% of new hires feel fully prepared to excel in their new role after the onboarding. But what happens when there is an effective onboarding process in place, when we do it right? When a company has a great onboarding process, 69% of new hires are likely to stay with the organization for at least 3 years, and their productivity would be 50% greater. When the onboarding process is really effective, 89% feel strongly integrated into the company culture, and 49% reported contributing to their team within the first week. So, what makes an onboarding plan effective? There are 2 key success factors: a feeling of belonging and a sense of accomplishment. A feeling of belonging is that feeling like you're a part of something: the team, the engineering organization, the company. A sense of accomplishment helps give the new hire confidence and a feeling that they've contributed something meaningful to the group. In today's climate, where companies hire less engineers and less managers, an effective onboarding plan becomes even more important, as it is critical for the new hire's success. We have an outstanding group of leaders here, so let's discuss the manager's role in the onboarding process. 37% of employees say their manager did not play a critical role in their onboarding. But when the manager takes an active role, employees are over 3 times more likely to feel their onboarding was successful. So what makes managers support their new hires in their onboarding? A study looked into why some engineers received support from their direct manager, while others didn't. They found that because managers have limited time, they look for signals for their employees' commitment to their own onboarding. In other words, new employees who are proactive about their own onboarding will likely receive attention and support from managers. And these employees are also more likely to succeed. The potential downside is that managers may fail to support new employees who they perceive as being less committed, regardless if that's an accurate assessment. So, what can we do? We need to encourage managers to make time for regular check-ins during the onboarding, also via informal interactions. At the same time, we need to encourage new employees to be engaged and take control of their own onboarding. We've talked about the value of effective onboarding plans and about the manager's role in the onboarding process. What about onboarding engineering managers? By a show of hands, how many of you have a dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers in your organization? Less than half. That's what I thought. I recently ran a survey in engineering managers' Israel community. 67% of respondents say they do not have a dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers in their organization. These are companies in all domains and sizes, from big tech to small startups. So why do so few companies have a dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers? I assume it's because there are fewer new managers than engineers. Managers come from different backgrounds and therefore have unique onboarding needs. And in general, we all know it, managers are expected to be independent and just get by. But is a dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers actually worth the investment? Yes. According to the same survey, 100% believe there's a real value in having a dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers. And I'd like to remind you that all respondents are engineering managers themselves. I think it's because starting a new position is hard. It's hard being new at a company, let alone as a manager, and it's hard moving internally to management for the first time. When I entered the role of Director of Engineering, onboarding new managers became part of my responsibility. At the time, there was no dedicated onboarding plan for engineering managers, and several managers were about to step into their new positions. Learning from my personal experience, I wanted the managers I support to have an optimal onboarding process. So, I went on to create one. First, I wanted to define the plan's mission, to give new engineering managers the foundation to effectively support their teams and act as leaders in the organization. The plan goals: prepare the managers for their new role, connect them to Lemonade culture and the engineering organization values, and clarify the expectations from them. It's also important to recognize what are not the goals of the plan. The new managers are not expected to deliver business-critical features on time as part of their onboarding. Their sense of accomplishment and impact will be reached in other forms. The new managers shouldn't try to show their value by making groundbreaking changes to process, people, or architecture. This time is really meant for learning and getting the right tools to become effective leaders. As a byproduct of the plan, the new managers get to be part of a community of peers. The structure and guidance of the plan can give confidence to anyone starting a new position. And the new managers may feel appreciated and cared for by the organization for investing in such a plan. So here goes. The plan's building blocks. It is a 4-week plan. It is self-managed. The content consists of a combination of sessions and experiences, and the plan is adaptable to fit each new manager's background. Why 4 weeks? We wanted the plan to have a clear definition of done and a feeling of graduation. Only after completing it, the new managers will officially enter their new role. We didn't want to stretch the plan too much to match the organization needs and allow the new managers to make impact relatively fast. There are weekly breakpoints with the direct manager to ensure progress and wellness. For any content that was not completed within the first 4 weeks, there could be 60 to 90-day extension with manager checkups. The plan is self-managed to root the concepts of ownership and accountability, which are core values of Lemonade Engineering. We provide a template with all the contents of the plan. It's built like a checklist, which is motivating, satisfying to complete, and helps stay focused. Though the plan is self-managed, the direct manager's support is critical, as mentioned before. In addition, we assign each new manager a buddy, a peer engineering manager, to be there for any question. Ideally, the plan should run in cohorts, groups of new engineering managers, to give a feeling of belonging and increase efficiency. There are 2 types of formats to the content: sessions and experiences. Sessions are the common way of transferring knowledge in most onboarding plans. These are simply talks about the roles, responsibilities, tools, and practices of engineering managers. Experiences is where things get more interesting. If sessions are the transfer of knowledge, experiences are the application of knowledge, theory versus practice. Experiences are really what they sound like: real opportunities to practice hands-on parts of the day-to-day work of an engineering manager and gain a sense of accomplishment while doing so. Getting into a new position is basically a series of firsts. The first one-on-one, the first team daily, the first feature tech design review. Firsts are a scary thing, right? Experiences help reduce firsts, boost confidence, and fight imposter syndrome. All sessions and experiences are split into 3 main tracks: peopleware, delivery management, and technical leadership. Blue represents sessions, and purple is for experiences. Peopleware covers everything around the team members' well-being, professional growth, performance, and team dynamics. Examples of sessions in this track would be giving feedback, the engineering levels, and the performance review process. Opportunities for experiences here are much harder to find, usually because these matters are personal, sometimes sensitive, and require a certain amount of shared mileage. Still, examples of experiences here would be to go over a team member's past performance review and suggest future goals, or conduct a survey to the team members with focus on people-related metrics. Delivery management covers everything around execution and process, from kickoff to deployment, project management, and measuring the team's velocity and impact. Examples of sessions in this track would be the team and group rituals, the OKRs process, and the development lifecycle. We've talked about rituals. Now let's practice them. So examples of experiences would be to run a team daily or lead a sprint retrospective meeting. This is Shai. He's a senior engineer who just recently moved internally to a management position, experiencing running a daily for the first time with his designated team. Right after the meeting, Shai received live feedback on how it went. At Lemonade, engineering managers are responsible for leading their team's initiatives technically. They will set the code standards, review architectural decisions, and so on. Though there are senior engineers in each team and group-level tech leads, at the end of the day, the responsibility is in the hands of the engineering manager. Examples of sessions in this track would be Lemonade architecture and design principles, observability, and the incident management process. Examples of experiences would be leading an incident postmortem or taking an active part in a feature tech design review. Each engineering manager comes with their own professional experience and set of skills. That's why the plan needs to be adaptable to fit any new manager's background. External hired engineering managers have previous management experience. For them, the focus of the plan would be less around the basics of peopleware, as chances are they already know how to give feedback or run a one-on-one. They will focus on delivery management and technical leadership, and more specifically, how things are done at Lemonade. Internal transfers to management are a different case. These are usually mature engineers with some experience leading initiatives. They have the technical know-how, the ownership mindset, and a good understanding of the development flow. However, they usually lack some project management skills. For them, the focus of the plan would be around peopleware and delivery management. But the customization doesn't end here. All the content of the plan is divided into 3 levels of priority: required, recommended, and optional. The purpose here is to make sure we're focused on the absolute essentials and prevent the overwhelming feeling of having too much content. It's a direct manager's decision what recommended and optional content they want to keep in the plan based on the new manager's background. But why should this plan even work? The answer is that we're applying the same 2 success factors mentioned before, feeling of belonging and a sense of accomplishment, with the needed modifications for managers. To create the feeling of belonging, the plan is run in cohorts, going through the journey together. Each new manager is assigned a buddy, and there is a significant amount of time spent with other veterans engineering managers and with a designated team. The sense of accomplishment and impact comes relatively early from the variety of practical hands-on experiences. The new managers will contribute to the team by supporting the team members, helping with delivery, and even giving technical direction. You're probably asking yourselves how it's going. As more and more managers went through the plan, we wanted to use their feedback and the lessons we've learned to improve it. Let's discuss the takeaways from the first 3 cohorts. The first cohort included internal transitions to management only. Senior engineers with over a year in the organization and some experience leading initiatives. That's why we focused on peopleware and delivery management. I knew the new managers well, so I could easily tailor the plan for their needs. This is our first cohort. There were 2 takeaways from this cohort. The first was input from one of the participants. He said he had so many questions on a daily basis. Some felt really stupid, and there wasn't always someone around to ask. So as I mentioned before, we decided that starting the next cohort, we would assign each new manager a buddy, a peer engineering manager, to be there for any question. The second takeaway was to find the early wins to celebrate. The participants didn't always know how they were doing. So we've decided that experiences performed well are great opportunities to give the new managers shout out in the presence of the team to boost confidence and build momentum. The second cohort was much more challenging, as it included both internal transfers to management and external hired engineering managers. This required content adaptations and made scheduling harder, so the plan lasted longer. There were 2 lessons from this cohort. The first was that there should be separate content for external hired engineering managers and internal transfers to management. I'm talking about 2 separate required columns in the content table. We had a dilemma of whether we should completely separate into 2 cohorts. At the end, we decided not to separate the cohorts so that managers from different backgrounds can learn from one another. The second lesson was based on feedback we received from a participant, a new engineering manager, who felt overwhelmed by the scope of his new role. That's when we came up with the concept of don't worry about, a list of things the new managers shouldn't be concerned with at this point in time. In the following cohorts, this helped the new managers focus on what really mattered and reduce their mental overload. The third cohort was, like the first, including internal transitions only. But this time, not all of them reported to me. I had to train a couple of my peers, managers of managers, on how to run the plan. I failed to communicate the level of expectation for their involvement and support in the plan, and so the plan lasted longer for their new engineering managers, and not all required content was delivered. The takeaway from this cohort was that the plan won't work without the direct manager's support and buy-in. After getting great feedback about the plan and seeing that it helped new managers deliver and integrate faster, we declared it a success. At this point, it was a good time to stop and think about the next steps for the plan. 1, make the needed adjustments and integrate it officially into the organization. And 2, train other leaders so they can deliver sessions and act as buddies. Finally, professional and personal growth doesn't stop after the onboarding. It's time to think about our continuous management training. What I'd be happy for you to take away from this talk is that your organization could really benefit from having a dedicated and effective onboarding plan for engineering managers. The plan needs the support of the direct manager and ideally of other leaders in the organization. Theoretical sessions are not enough. Practical, hands-on experiences help build confidence and will prepare your new engineering managers for their day-to-day work. And lastly, the plan should be adaptable to fit any new manager's background. Thank you.